Hi, welcome. My name is Dale McCluskey, and on this video I'm going to discuss the circle method technique. This technique is used to help transition the dog, take back the walk, get the dog to walk as a follower. It's also a focus exercise to help advance the role changing process, and it helps to get you into the interplay of the dog's mind. Helps see these follower states. And what you'll see is you'll kind of like you're seeing the dog's decision-making process in action. So it gets you in tune. It's a highly focused exercise. It's all about how you think. It's all based on psychology. And so the technique itself, I'm going to show what it is. It's actually a very kind of a really slick technique. It's one I developed, and I use it. I use it a lot to help dog owners. And the technique involves basically what you're doing is you're walking in a circle, and so when you do this technique, it's intended to block the dog's ability to surge or get ahead of you. Because the whole issue here and what you want to focus on, because understand, it's mind and body, so you want, positionally where the dog is at is important. Because, where the body is at, so is the mind. So if you're letting the dog go out in front of you, that dog is expressing that state, okay? Because, it's relational. So it's very important to keep the dog beside you. So either left or right side, it doesn't matter. Say this is you here in the circle. A happy face on you. Maybe a sad face for the first few days, but it definitely have to create some role change. You'll see this is, it's about meeting needs, and you'll be happy. But here, what you want to do is pick a side to target or put your dog into position. Okay. So what you want to do is visualize kind of a strike zone area, a box area. Okay, right beside you, kind of like in what you call an obedience class, the heel position. And so you want to keep the dog right within that boxed in area. So what you're going to do is using the sit position. Again, when I explain the technique, you watch my other videos, you're using the push-pull method, but what you're doing is, before that even, you're moving the leash into the opposite hand, okay? So when you do this technique, you're moving the opposite, say the dog's on the right side, moving the leash in the opposite hand, so this hand is free and clear on the side that you're going to be pushing your dog into that position. Okay, this is for the sit position. But you're going to apply this technique, the sit position, as you're doing the circle method, okay? But as you do this, so as you do the technique, you want the hand on the side your dog is on to be free and clear, so you can fully engage and fully push on your dog's rear area to get them into the sit. And then the second push is going to be push-pull technique on the top of the shoulder blade, where you're creating more of a defined follower moment. Okay, that's meant to really cut into your dog's decision-making process. And on another video, I'm going to talk about these techniques. So, say for the push-pull method, you want to find a video on the push-pull method, on the leash flexing method, find a video on that, on the down, find a video on that. I'll be talking, putting these together in this video because these all kind of come together during the circle walk. Okay, but I encourage you to check out my other videos so you really get some clarity as to these methods. But basically, when you're doing the circle walk, the whole thing is, again, it's communication. Okay, you have to draw these lines clearly established in your mind so that they're going to translate into what you're doing. Because again, if your communication, because this is what it is, if your communication is wishy-washy, okay, then you're going to have a wishy-washy dog. I mean, and that translates into the role-changing process isn't going to take hold at the level that you need. So here, you have to, again, we're working off the unspoken language, so you're not saying commands initially, you're just moving the dog into the position, okay? But here, to have clarity is when you're walking in this pattern, in the circle, okay, you're gonna have to keep the dog next and back to you. So a combination of using the leash flexing, okay, with interrupting as your dog starts to surge out in front, And the circle method, what it's going to do is, again, it's going to, so for example, the circle method explains if you're on, here's you, and here's your dog. So if you're on, so the circle's going this way here, okay? And this is for if your dog is on your left side, okay, then you're moving to the left. You're circling in, you're blocking to the left. If your dog is on the right side, then you're circling, you're moving to your right. It's just opposite. So just think left, left, right, right. And the idea here is to block your dog with your legs. So you're going to be moving your knee in towards your dog to knock them back. It's not, now again, this technique isn't meant to hurt them, so you're not like ramming your knee in, but definitely in your mind, your dog has to feel as though you're prepared to run them down, okay? But in saying that, this through connection, your dog feels the seriousness of this technique, how assertive you are. Therefore, if you're thinking that way, you won't have to run them down. Okay, do you understand? But if you're wishy-washy, your dog is going to really try to push the boundaries and get in front. If they think that you're not really focused and you're not really asserting authority, they definitely, through connection, they definitely sense that. So before you even go out and do this, attempt this technique or do it in your house, you got to get your focus down. Okay, and before you even engage in this technique, okay, and this is the thing about the whole methodology where everything comes together at certain stages. If your dog's highly resistant on the leash, if the dog is really challenging you for the first few days, that's where you don't even want to start this technique. You want to just get the dog short bursts, so to speak, using the leash, and you have to just start to kick your feet in the ice cliff, so to speak, until you get a level of role change where the dog is more accepting of the leash, okay, doing it this way. So usually it could take a week before, but you want to start to work up and build on this technique. So you want to start to think about it, and then you start to do it. But here, right from the start, when you're doing the method, it's clearly defined communication. So your dog can't go out front. As soon as the nose starts to go out, just tippy-toe out here a little bit, you want to flex or put the dog right back into the sit immediately, okay? Or you're going to be blocking, which means you're going to be cutting in on your dog's ability. What you're doing is you're removing that from their toolbox, okay? If I'm cutting them off and moving in, blocking them, they can't get back. They can't get hit. So here, this is the other issue. You talk about the circle method. When you're moving in, you're moving to your left. So what you're doing is you're moving, you're flexing the leash at the same time, you're cutting them off, and then you're adding sit positions in here every so often. Okay, so right here could be a sit, down here could be a sit, right here could be a sit. And so what you're doing is the sit positions represent kind of getting it together, because again, if you're walking in a circle, you don't want to make yourself dizzy, okay, because you have to stop, okay, kind of gather yourself, flex the leash, and make sure and build on it. So the sit position, you're going to add the sit position on every so often as you're doing the circle walk, okay? And then you're going to sit your dog, flex, push and pull technique. So all these methods just all blend together. Now this is highly focused because when you're doing this technique, you're not concerned about what's going on outside the circle, okay? This is a highly focused psychological exercise, so you're just really totally focused on your moments, okay? So when you do the technique, you're totally focused on your moments, and you're blocking your dog. Now, the other issue is that how wide the circle is really dependent on how desperately your dog is trying to get out in front of you. Dogs that have, say, if they think they have all the power, they're either going to try to get out in front of you really hard, really surge out in front, or they're going to kick in and try to stop the walk happening this way. Okay, they'll lock in, and then again, there's another method applied to that. For that technique, you want to find the video on that. That's isolate dominance method, where you're locking in with the leash, okay, from a distance. You're letting some leash length go, you're locking in, and it's going to be uncomfortable for your dog, and they'll move out of that. They'll come forward, and when they do, you put them right back into the sit position again. So it's these interplays, back and forth, but you're always asserting leadership, authority. Even your dog locks in immediately, don't delay, you have to lock that leash in, okay? You're communicating, you're saying, so you're almost at the point of dragging, but not quite. So that method is what it does, it collapses the mind. It's just like the game of tug of war, where the other team is about to collapse, and in their minds they've basically given up, okay, because they know the game, they know what's about to happen. They know they're going to collapse. And that's what you're doing here. It's all about technique. So by extending that leash out long enough, it's kinetic. So it actually gives you more authority through that leash by letting the leash do the work. So that way you don't have to, if your technique is really good, you don't have to put a lot of force into it. This is about technique. This is about understanding kinetics and how to use your body certain ways, so that you don't have to be, this isn't meant to be confrontational sense of force against force. Okay, I'm applying certain techniques to collapse the mind. Okay, and this circle method is basically the same thing. I'm working this out, using my whole body to block the dog, put the dog back so the dog cannot get out in front of me. So this is a really kind of a cool technique, because you'll see, and because it's nature, what you'll see is your dog will start to turn their head, believe it or not, in towards you for the contact. And at first you say, that doesn't make sense. Why would a dog want me to hit them with my knee a little bit? Like I'm kind of nudging and tapping them back, because it's nature. It's not about authority in the sense of how a lot of people want to package this up as some big bad evil monster. No, we're not going in and just barreling in there, because your dog knows whether we have their best interests at heart. Even though we're in competition and this needs to happen, and you want to, at the same time, you want to make sure, we're not setting up to be bitten with an aggressive moment. We definitely, are engaged at this level here, so that we're not going in that way, okay? But definitely influence is needed. So here, as we do it again, you'll be adding assists on as you do it. Now the other thing is, because you want to watch my video on the downs too, is as we're doing this technique and we're building the bridge, because this is going to build your walk. And again, I didn't clarify with the short or tighter circle. So what you need to do is, if your dog is really trying to get out in front of you hard, okay, your circles are going to have to be tighter, which means you're barely even walking out far at all. You're just cutting right in, just turning in, just back and back and back. So what you're doing here is your circles are going to be really tight. Again, I'll still be, sitting at times, because again, you'll make yourself dizzy, but you're just blocking, just continuously, the technique is, when you do this too, is immediately, if your dog's on your left side, you have to shoot that left leg out first, immediately. Okay, your first step needs to be the left out, because when a dog is really trying to desperately get out in front, they know that, they're going to be trying to get out in front fast. So you got to shoot your leg right out, but angle it so you're immediately knocking right into your dog. So as soon as you start walking forward, shoot that leg out and angle it in so it knocks your dog back. And then if you have to, flex the leash at the same time and put your dog back into the sit if needed. So you need to get that leg out quickly. If it's your right side you're doing this, the right leg goes out first and angle it right in so you're knocking your dog back. Okay? Now again, you do this technique, it's very effective, but and if your dog's showing a lot of aggression, or if you're not sure, you may need to muzzle your dog. Okay, and we'll talk about that in another video about using the dog muzzle, but basically that's because what we're doing here, we're going to take that out of your dog's toolbox. Okay, it goes away, muzzle, but we're taking precautions here as we do this. It's not meant to be aggressive, but the dog's pulling a lot of power. But again, the same token, if your dog's pulling a lot of power and really resistant to the leash, like I said before, you're going to have to lay some groundwork before doing this technique this way for a week and maybe 2 weeks to just start to change the personality type and leave the dog's mind before you engage fully in this technique. But again, the circles may have to be tight and small, but then as everything starts coming together, they'll be wider. And then what happens, how this works into the walk, is as I'm doing the circles, and then they come off, into a straight line. My walk takes a straight line, okay? So this becomes more just as needed, okay? So as I'm doing it, I'm doing this to get my walk going on, and then I'll just walk right out in a straight line, and then I might circle again, okay? My dog is here. So what I'll do is I'll start building my walk through the circle method. So again, I'm walking in circles to get it going on, If my dog, but once my dog starts getting back and starts staying in that position, then I can start walking normally. And then what I'll do is on the street, I'll modify it. So of course you don't want your, you don't want your neighbors watching this saying, "What's he doing? Circling?" No, I'll do it in my driveway. I'll do it in my home. I'll have enough space. Then when I do take to the street, I have the walk pretty much worked out pretty good, so it's pretty much under control. And the dog is in that follower position pretty solidly. And then what I'll do is, then I'll just be able to kick my leg out and just put my dog back. I don't have to do a full circle. I'll just move my leg out at times. My dog is trying to get in front a little bit. Just angle your leg like 90-degree angle. Just shoot my leg out and back. And your dog will just fall into position. But this is like a foundational type of technique. Okay, this is really good. And this technique, what it does too, it helps to get your dog off leash. Okay, believe it or not, and I'll explain this a little bit. This is really cool. This is a really neat part of this technique. Is once you get this technique, first thing you do is you start to get the flow going. You start to get the dog back. Communication. Keep the dog right back in that exact spot in that boxed area. And usually, what you'll find on when your leg knocks into your dog, that will create a follower state, for a second or two. Those are the moments you feel your dog kind of floating, right beside you. You start to have a feeling, wow, my dog's just he's there. And then you can actually, what you'll do is, now this is where we get off leash with the dog a little bit. This is kind of cool. You can either kind of drop your leash and let your leash drag behind you and you're still going, okay? Or what you want to do is if your dog is big enough and tall enough, just use your fingers. Your arm is now the leash and your fingers are the hook. And you're doing the technique, just kind of flexing as you go, your arm, using just your arm and your fingers, doing the circle method, and then you're kind of letting go for, a few seconds, and then hooking up again and letting go. This is how you get the dog off leash, starts it, okay? But, again, you can always tell, the dog feels like, okay, there's nothing attached, and tries to, dart out and stuff. Then you're not ready to even start that, okay? You start letting go, and you start to really know the dog is starting to, go into the follower script, the follower role more solidly. And the other technique going on here too is not just doing the sits, but every so often, okay, you're going to put a down in. Okay, again, watch my video on the down about collapsing the mind. It's just like the dominoes start to fall. But what happens is, on about the third sit, okay, and I got a really good follower moments happening, the dog is right into me, and I start to feel it, the mind is just collapsing in, then I'll just keep pushing, okay, but again, it's mind and body. I'm not trying to use my physical force entirely, just relying on that. It's connection, so I'm starting to push, and I'm just, I've done the sit, say, with the push-pull technique, but then I won't stop there and I'll just keep pushing, okay, and the dog senses, communication, I'm not saying down, the dog senses what I want, the dog will just go into will accept it, and I'll bring the dog up and continue on my circle method. So, but this is where you want to add the downs in after a few days of doing it, okay? You'll sense when the dog is getting ready for that level, okay? But again, you want to put the down in there as well. So again, this is a really neat technique. What it avoids is having to use heavy corrections on the dog with the choke chain, because I'm using another part of my body, my knee and leg area to knock in. But again, when you do the technique, it's very smooth and fluid. Okay, I suggest you watch some of my other videos where it shows, the circle method happening with the dog. But it's very smooth and fluid. Now, the other issue is make sure you go at your pace. Okay, don't let the dog ever dictate the pace, because then that's not good. The dog's gotta go to your pace. So the dog's trying to surge out in front. I'd rather you stop, put the dog back, apply the techniques to get the dog back. The dog's gotta go at your pace, okay? If you're going fast, ask yourself the question, why are you going fast? You're trying to accommodate the dog's state of mind. No, it doesn't work that way. The dog's gotta go back, and I'm leading. So the dog has to accommodate me, okay? So this technique is very sharp, it's very focused. When you're doing it, only do it for, I might do it for 3-4 minutes, 2-3 minutes the first day, and then I'll do it for a little longer the next day, and then I'll go with my driveway, then I'll start, so it all comes together. So it's like building it in stages. But again, a really solid technique to use to get your dog
get the walk back, to start to build the foundation for the walk. It's a highly focused technique. It will bring all the methodology together. Okay, that's the goal here. Is all the techniques that you've learned, they all kind of come into this highly focused technique, the circle method, and it will really help you with your insight. These interplays, it really will help you, and if it's done right, it's very enjoyable. Because even when walking your dog, you start to just, again, use one hand to hold the leash as you're walking, okay? And you shouldn't, well, some of you shouldn't even have to look at your dog when you're flexing, you're interrupting. You just feel the dog's mind shifting back and forth, okay? But it's a highly focused technique. I recommend you do it. You follow the way I laid it out here, and it'll really will advance your insight. It'll help advance the role changing process, and it'll help get your walk back at the same time, and also it'll help you get your dog off leash as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this video was informative, and I hope you have a great day.